Alright guys, this is going to be a part 2 of the other video that I made called How to Draw Trend Lines Like Professionals. And I was originally going to make a video regarding the support and resistance strategy that I've been using for many years. And I kind of wanted to make an additional video to the Trendline video, kind of make it a part 2. And the reason is because I had somebody recently comment on my last video and saying that uh, you're drawing trend lines wrong. You're drawing, you're drawing your support and resistance levels incorrectly or wrong. And I understand that completely. Because the way that I draw trend lines and the way I look at support and resistance, it's very different than what you're gonna hear or what other traders are going to teach you and what you've been learning over the course of I don't know how many years that you've been watching YouTube videos or advice on forums. But again, I learned certain things from exceptional traders from many years ago. I would say around 2010, 2011, and once I understood what the strategies were and how it could benefit me and I started implementing them, I there was no looking back for me. So that's why I kind of make these videos to kind of teach you guys to try to improve your trading and to kind of give you an unorthodox view of how to get into the market and out of the market to benefit you, to keep risk extremely low and try to get in at the most precise times, or even look for exits that are going to give you, the maximum, I would say the maximum amount of profit, right? How many times do you get into a trade and you get out and it continues, higher? And if that's the case, it's fine as long as you make profit. But on the other hand, you get into a trade and you're not sure if you should stay in the trade or exit in the trade. And I appreciated that comment that person left on my videos, because it just shows that it's a rare way of trading. Not everybody's going to understand it, but once you do, it's extremely beneficial. And I'm just going to make a short video on a recent trade that I took, or that I'm actually in still, on the Euro USD and how it can benefit you. Okay? So with that said, I'll just go back. Let's look at the replay mode. Okay? Now, I was originally looking for the market to maybe head higher, but once we started getting this move, especially this gap, there was a trend line that I was looking at, which was, if you go back to the other video, I always draw specific resistance to support levels, or the opposite, support to resistance levels. Now, it's just not any level. It takes practice, and it takes, a lot of observation and an understanding of price action and price movements and how the market reacts to certain things. But all that aside, I'm gonna show you the reason why I was getting into this trade recently. As a matter of fact, maybe I should go back a little more. Hold on one second. Let's go back here. Okay. So the most obvious levels that I see here is this resistance and this support. Okay, and that's what I did. I have a certain way of everything organized on my charts, the tools that I need in order to be able to scope out and try to map out what I'm trying to look at. So again, I'm going to take my support and resistance trend line. I'm going to draw from this top to this bottom. Okay. Normally and traditionally, most people that don't really understand, they're just going to say that it's weird, or it doesn't make sense, or like the last user posted, that it's wrong. Okay. And again, wrong, right, whatever is subjective, right? There's so many different styles of trading that everybody has their own, feel for the market and different tools that they use. But I'm showing you guys what I use to try to be as precise as possible and to give me an indication if I'm right or wrong, if I should stay in a trade, or whatever the case is, it gives me a heads up of what to look for. So if I move forward, I was able to get into this trade on the Euro USD. I was able to get in the trade at 1.0788, which was all the way up here, which is extremely ideal. Not every trade is going to be that perfect, but I have entered into the market extremely precise many times before. Okay, again, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. And the reason is because I view this trend line, this resistance to support trend line, as my kind of like my map going forward, and what area I would look to get into a trade in optimal level, if that makes sense. Like for example, if I got into the trade here and the market kept on going and it closed above this trend line, that would signal to me immediately, you know what? I don't think this resistance level is not going to hold. I need to get out of this trade. Okay, so that it tells me right away if I'm right or wrong. In this case, I got into this trade at a very precise level. Okay, and everything was going great. Okay, we had a nice big move down. I'm not adding positions yet. I'm not doing anything. I just have my stop loss above this trend line, specifically about 50 to 100 pips. So I like to have 100 pips stop loss just to give it some room, and just let it ride down to this zone, and I'll get into that in a second. So okay, so the euro makes move back up. Now this one was interesting. Anybody that got short in this zone, okay, anywhere here is holding the bag. Now you don't know what the market's going to do, right? What if this would have not been a pin bar? What if this would have not been a long wick to the upside and it just exploded way higher, right, to cover this gap? You never know what the market's going to do. You can only, kind of map out to whatever strategy you're looking at. You can only map out and control your risk as best as possible, and let the market do whatever's going to do, right? But in this case, I didn't add anything here because there was nothing for me to look to add an additional position, right? You don't want to get too greedy. You don't want to jump the gun. And this is the reason why. This came all the way back up, okay? And it attempted to push past this trend line. But again, this trend line, this resistance, as a matter of fact, I'll draw it here. This resistance to the support, okay, this was my level. And of course, the market rejected that really hard and pushed all the way back down. This is kind of like a fake out. Anybody here that's short either scared them out, caused them to close the trade manually, or in the worst case scenario, unfortunately, on people who are highly leveraged, either margin call them and destroy their accounts, or took a significant loss. But anyway, we don't know what the market's going to do, but in this case, it went all the way back up to test to take out whoever's short from down here, or scare anybody else who's short up here, and then faded out, respected this trend line, okay, and then continued lower. Now, I'm looking at another trend line. Let's take our tool back, okay? I'm going to use the magnet tool, my support and resistance line. I'm going to take this top again, and I'm going to connect it to this low. Now you can already see if I zoom in, you can see I respected this support here. This one didn't make it all the way down there, but this showed some support. So this is why I gave credibility to this trend line. I said, okay, the market's respecting this trend line, this resistance to this support. Let me draw this key level right there. Okay, so we have 1, 2, and 3. So the market's kind of like in between these trend lines. So this gives me kind of like a, an outlook. Like if we break below this, it's probably going to be bearish. If we break above this, then the bulls might gain control again and continue much higher to test this high or make higher highs. Okay, so this is how the drawing trend lines this way can help you navigate when to stay flat, when to get out if you're short, when to get out if you're long, that type of thing. Okay, so we're gonna move forward here. Again, respecting this trend line. So I know there's credibility. The market likes this. It likes this support. It's bouncing off of it. Okay. And again, it attempted, right, a fake out. Now this is why it's important. This is not just for trend lines, but any trading system, whether you're trading moving averages, whether you're trading, I don't know any other tools, Fibonacci, or if you're trading, just regular support and resistance. It's it's important to always let the market close, in my opinion, on a daily chart to see what the market's really doing. Because this was a pretty decent move to the downside. If I wanted to jump the gun and I said, "Oh, this market's going to be bearish. Let me put on more shorts," and then all of a sudden it pushes all the way right back up to close green on the day. Again, you can only try to map out what the market's going to do, and then you respond to it. You can't anticipate in the middle of the day or in the middle of the candle that the market's going to do something. 100% of the time. You don't really know what the market's going to do, besides at least letting it close for the day so that you get an idea of what the market's trying to tell you, right? Because in the middle of the day or in the morning, usually around New York Open, sometimes London as well, you'll have these big moves, and then all of a sudden, you look back on the chart, and then the market completely makes a 180, and you're like, what the hell just happened, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can relate to that, where you see one thing happen, maybe around, if you're in the Eastern United States, you see something like, okay, the market's down about 40 pips, and then you close your phone or on the app, on the trading view, or whatever your trading platform is, you come back, and then it's up 60, 70, 80 pips. And you're like, what the hell just happened? Right? So this is why it's important to let the market close, let the market tell you the story, right? And then at the end of the day, you can judge, okay, so it closed over here, it closed over there, so let me make so and so adjustment, or not make an adjustment at all. Okay. But anyway, you can see it made an attempt to break below this trend line, pushed all the way back up, okay, to signal that, what, it's not completely bearish yet. We just have to be patient, okay? And I held on to my short positions up here. So if we move forward again, okay, indecisive, nothing going on. It doesn't make a big move at all. It's just a very flat candle. Okay, the next day, we see this close. Again, the key thing is close. So now this trend line, the market's respecting this line. I said, okay, it's respecting this trend line. It's finding support here. It really, wanted to stay above this 2 days ago, and now it closed below here. Now I'm waiting for the next level. So when it pulls back, again, this is my marker. This is the trend line I'm going to use as support and resistance. So in this case, I'm looking for resistance up here, and I'm looking for a short. So once the market pulls up, okay, I entered at 1.0645. Okay, and I know even when the market was pushing up, I said, okay, if it keeps pushing up, that signals to me that this one or two things: the market's not respecting this trend line anymore as much, or number two is that this market wants to potentially become bullish, right? If it doesn't close below this trend line, then I don't like it. I'm gonna attempt to get out and just wait for the price action to let me know what to do going forward. Okay, but I entered a second short here because this trend line told me, even though we closed below it with this candle, this trend line told me that, okay, we're under this trend line now. The market may be going lower, and this is the reason why I entered another short. Now I have one short over here still from 1.0788, and then now another one at 1.0645. Okay, So, and that's, I believe, the end of the candle or the replay mode. Okay, and this is live right now. So the market's pushing back up. Can the market push all the way back up and come back into the trend line? There's always a possibility of something like that happening. But again, this this is my marker. This is my ceiling here. And again, I know for some it may not make perfect sense, but once you start drawing these trend lines out, you start getting a feel for where the market's going to bounce from. What is it going to do, um, or what direction it may be looking to take. Okay, so like I said a few minutes ago, once the market was bouncing in between these trend lines, I was looking for a break to the bottom and to try to get short as the most precise at the most precise entry that I can, right? Which is right over here. So we have to see what happens. If the market comes all the way back up and it threatens this level, then you just make adjustments. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much a recap that I'm going to do, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on the recap on my Euro USD weekly recap. I always do a recap at the end of the week of the price action and trades I'm taking or trades I'm not taking or things I'm looking at. But this, I'll include this into the weekly recap that I do every Friday. And just to give you guys one more example, okay, let's say you got long here, somewhere in this zone for whatever reason, you went long. Okay, so you're holding longs and you're thinking to yourself, well, what level should I look for, or what zone should I look for resistance levels? Well, again, you can use the trendline levels to help guide you of where you want to look to either get out or levels that you're looking to watch out for. If I take my support to resistance again, okay, and I replay that back. If you move forward, you can say, okay, I'm gonna get out at this trend line right over here, and you can even see these pivot zones that I'll make a video on. But this also help you guide you. I don't draw any type of major support and resistance levels on the chart. I let the pivot zones do it for me, and I used trend lines, the support and resistance trend lines, to kind of guide me on where should I be looking for the market to move. Is it going to go higher, or is it going to stall out and reverse, right? So if I push forward, you can see how it hits that trend line and it hits that pivot zone at the same time, and with confluence right here, and that would have been a nice trade. Of course, if you're looking from a longer term perspective and you feel that the market's bullish, you can probably look at something like this support to resistance. This is the trade I took, and wait for the pullback. Just be patient with it, and boom, you get long right over here. Your stops are down here just in case the market doesn't respect that trend line, and in this case it did. Right, this was a really nice trade. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video. Again, I just wanted to clarify. Hopefully this explains a little more on this trendline strategy, or this unique unorthodox way of drawing trend lines, and how you can use it to your benefit, right? Because there's always trading styles that you may not understand, and that includes myself. Like, sometimes I see things that just doesn't make sense to me, but this is something I've been using for many years, uh, more than 10 years now, and it has served me well, extremely well, and I believe it'll also help you in your trading. If you need help with understanding how to draw these levels in with your charts, I offer coaching, of course, one-on-one coaching. You guys can check that out. At the end of this video, I have a QR code if you want to check that out, or you can go to internaltrader.com, and there's multiple options there. There's a lot of information you guys can check out there. But if not, you guys can always look at my YouTube videos. Again, that really helps the channel. I want to grow this channel to help as many traders as I can, because I know one of the biggest problems is not only not having the right trading strategy, but also the psychological aspect, which I'm going to dive into many videos coming up on this channel. that I want to talk about and explain, and to help a lot of those that are struggling with that psychological and emotional side of trading, which is extremely, extremely tough if you don't have any guidance. So with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And if you have any questions, you can definitely leave a comment, and I'll respond as fast as I can. If you want to reach out to me more directly, you can reach out to me at salmedina@internaltrader.com, or you can send a generic email to support@internaltrader.com. So hope you guys liked the video. I will make another video on Friday of a Forex Weekly recap of Euro USD, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care.